Welcome to Best Life Wellness, Wellness God's Way. Today's subject is going to be about KYN, know your numbers. Because in the Word of God, it tells us in John 8:32, you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. So I'll be right back. Enjoy my intro. Welcome back. So today I have the honor of introducing a very special guest. This guest I've known my entire life is my sister, Dr. Virginia Lucas, and she's here to help us learn about our numbers, how come and why they are important for us to know, and how often we should have our numbers checked, just so we can, live our best life, which is what God has for us. But before I bring Dr. Lucas on, let me tell you a little bit about her. Her bio is so long it would take up half the show, so I kind of had to shrink it down. But let me tell you a little bit about Dr. Lucas. So Dr. Virginia Lucas, and she has so many letters behind her name. I'm going to leave it to her to explain what those acronyms represent. So Dr. Lucas have been a registered nurse for 21 years. Her passion began when she was a home health aide 40 years ago. Working as a home health aide enlightened her to pursue nursing and develop and grow in the healthcare industry. She started her educational career at Episcopal, where she earned a diploma of nursing degree. Always committed to lifelong learning, she went on to obtain a Bachelor of Nursing from Immaculata University. As a clinical nurse, she had the opportunity to create new and better ways to do patient care. For example, as the healthcare system transitioned from paper documentation to electronic medical records, she was instrumental in staff education, serving as a super user. Following this initiative, she was recognized for her leadership skills and offered an assistant manager position, eventually promoted to nurse manager. In 2014, she was hired by Penn Medicine as a nurse case manager. She enjoyed and valued working as a home care nurse because it afforded her the opportunity for patient relationship building. She's also a Penn Medicine basic life support instructor, which means she teaches first aid and CPR. Being a lifelong learner isn't just a catchphrase for her. She recently obtained her doctorate in nurse practicing. So I'm just proud and honored to introduce my sister, Dr. Virginia Lucas. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Chris.
Thank you, Dr. Lucas. I'm sorry I stumbled a little bit on your bio, but I didn't have my glasses on. So today's subject is because you've been in the nursing field for so long, I'm sure you have seen some changes in our community when it comes to health. And so today's subject, know your numbers. Um, I feel like you can help people to know how important it is to know their numbers. And so I'm just going to ask you a few questions about, certain areas of health when it comes to knowing your numbers, diabetes, high blood pressure, how some of that contribute to heart disease and cholesterol. So, what have been some of the changes you've seen in our community when it comes to health?
So that's a very good question, Beatrice. One of the things that I've noticed over the years is that in the African American communities, we have younger people that have the illnesses of what you would see older people with. So years ago, um, someone 65 years old will have heart failure or diabetes, hypertension, and would be, homebound, really sick. And now we're finding people in their 20s, in their 30s, in their 40s are
Wow.
having these diseases that usually you didn't see until someone was around 60s, 65s, or older.
Wow. Wow. So would you say that not knowing your numbers, not getting these tests attributed to them crossing over to chronic illness?
Well, that is definitely one of the reasons why people cross over to chronic illness without knowing,
Okay.
because it takes time to cross over the chronic illness. Sometimes it takes years, but if you don't get yearly physicals, if you don't know what your A1C is for your diabetes, or you don't know
Mhm.
what your blood pressures are, and this goes on for years, it start affecting your organs, your kidneys, your heart, your lungs. Those things, your brain, are affected over time. So
Wow.
knowing your numbers is important because it helps you. Once you know your numbers, then you can make that decision. Am I going to change my lifestyle? Am I going to change my eating habits? um,
Right, right.
Talk to your doctor about medication options, but you can start working on it before it becomes that chronic illness.
So let's talk a little bit about diabetes. Um, what is a bad number or a bad A1C? What's the warning sign or the warning number that if someone see this as their A1C?
So the A1C, your A1C should be less than 5.6. Okay. And once the doctor sees that you have reached 5.7 or up to 6.4, then they call that pre-diabetic.
Okay.
So what that tells you is that there's too much sugar in your blood, and that if you keep eating the way you're eating or gaining weight, that you're going to cross over. Once your A1C is 6.5 or higher, then
Uh-huh.
you're
Yes.
considered a diabetic.
So when you are in the pre-diabetic stage, how long do it take to drop your A1C to a normal number? Is that something you can do in a week? Do it take months? Do you need medication for that?
Well, I'm going to say absolutely not done in a week, unless you've lost 10 pounds in a week. Because
Oh, okay.
when
Losing weight.
you're in that pre-diabetic state,
Uh-huh.
weight has a lot to do with it. It's usually when you cross that threshold where your body can no longer produce enough insulin to get rid of that sugar that's
Okay.
in your blood. And so um, a lot of times people are found to be overweight.
Okay.
And so normally the doctor will tell you, to lose weight, exercise, and decrease your amount of carbs and sugar, right?
Okay.
And so if you do that, it is possible, and you know that,
Yes.
it
Yes.
is possible to bring that A1C down and no longer be called a diabetic or pre-diabetic.
So is that weight for adults or will this affect children as well?
Unfortunately, it's affecting our children more and more. And one of the reasons is, what we eat, fast food. When we were young, we
Right.
didn't eat fast food. We
Right.
ate what our mother cooked. Our mom cooked home cooked meals
Yes.
every night, right?
Exactly.
And so, that wasn't a conversation. None of us was overweight as
Right. Right.
children.
I remember none of us was overweight, and I remember asking mommy to take us. Can we go to McDonald's? I mean, it was like a McDonald's was built in our neighborhood. Everybody was going, and I said, "Mom, can we go to McDonald's?" And she said, "Well, I look like taking 8 kids to McDonald's." so and
Listen,
so
her having 8 kids saved us at that time.
right. So it wasn't a dollar menu back then. She
Mhm.
was working hard to provide. So we was always eating beans and stew and neck bones and potatoes and all that stuff. And I remember one of the doctor appointments, the doctor told her that she needed to give us 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. And she said 5 times 8. You know, that's 45
Yes,
servings.
yes,
Are
yes.
you gonna pay for that? And when she said she had 8 kids, he understood. She said they'll get it when they go to school and they'll get it when they come home.
Hmm.
Um, and that's one of the things I think is one of the problems. Poverty can contribute to that. Um, like you said, the fast food, you
The
know,
fast food restaurants, if you look in the African American community, you see more fast food restaurants. And then when the parent comes home from work and they don't feel like
yes,
cooking, you can go to Popeyes or McDonald's or Burger
and
King
get a
or
bucket of
Wendy's.
chicken.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. And it's
and
so
that's
much easier, but it's so saturated in fat and the supersized French fries is all those
oh
carbs,
right, yeah.
big old bun,
And that's, they contribute to the epidemic, the fast food industry, by supersizing the soda, supersizing the fries, supersizing,
Mhm.
getting an extra, a double, they contribute to it. Um, like we were saying back then. In fact, another thing too, that society whole lifestyle changed when it comes to eating. Um, when we came home from school, we wasn't asking for a snack. Like, like, can we get a snack? I don't know where that came in that they had to have a snack and have to have dessert.
Mhm.
We was told, and I'm sure in the 70s, a lot of parents told their kids this: if you eat a snack, it will ruin your dinner.
Yes.
So,
That was their favorite line.
yeah, that's a fair line. And so we were like, we're hungry, and so we ate our meal, and having dessert wasn't something that was, you have your dinner and dessert is something you're supposed to have, and that's another thing that it's a lot of overeating. Even when the buffets, all you can eat,
Yes.
it's promoting overeating, and so it's also promoting chronic diseases.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
high blood pressure. Why is high blood pressure called the silent killer?
Well, the reason why high blood pressure or hypertension is called the silent killer is because sometimes people have no symptoms. So I
Mhm.
have seen patients and they'll have the top number, which is the systolic, 200, the bottom number, which is the diastolic, 100 or 110. And they're like, oh, I feel fine. Oh, well,
Mhm.
my blood pressure is always that high, and I have to
Wow.
explain, well, your blood pressure, when it's that high, it's destroying your kidneys, it's destroying your heart, and it'll destroy your brain because you'll wind up with a stroke. And a lot of people don't understand that because they feel like they feel fine
Right.
and the blood pressure is always that high and nothing happens until something happens.
So, is there ever a time when there's a certain feeling that is very serious? I mean, what is it? Always you don't have a feeling, you don't have any symptoms.
No, some people are sensitive to the
Okay.
hypertension. So if a person has several things, but I'm going to go to the symptoms.
Okay.
The symptoms are blurred vision, slurred speech, uh, droopiness of their face or one side of their face,
Hmm.
numbness, tinglings in their hands or their feet, or weakness where they can't pick up something because they don't have strength or feelings in their hands, or they can't stand up or walk, or they can't understand what you're saying,
Oh wow.
or they're speaking and you can't understand what they're saying.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
that is the signs and symptoms of a stroke. Okay. Then when we talk about the heart from high blood pressure, that's somebody that has chest pain, shortness of breath.
Okay.
When we talk about the kidneys, because remember I said it affects those 3 organs, this
Yes.
is somebody that are not urinating. They could barely urinate or
Hmm.
they stop urinating. So those are organ damages and that is a 911 call. That's not get in your car, drive yourself to the hospital.
Okay.
It's 911 to get an ambulance because time is very important to
Okay.
keep that.
And so I'm sorry, we had to go back to diabetes. What's some of the signs that your sugar is low or your sugar is high?
Okay. So one of the things that happen, we usually tell diabetics when your sugar is below 70, drink a glass of orange juice, 6 ounces. You don't have they don't have to drink a lot.
Okay.
6 ounces of orange juice. Um, some people have symptoms at 70, some don't. But when they start having symptoms of blur vision, jitteriness, it's like a nervousness going through their bodies. You know, you just feeling very thirsty, because that's one of
Okay.
the things
Okay.
diabetics. They're just all of a sudden they just drinking a lot. You know,
Excessive thirst.
yes, and
I
hungry.
also, yeah, I also heard weight loss too.
Yes. Well, that's on the other side. That's when the blood sugars are high.
Oh,
That
okay.
they um, lose weight because their body has so much sugar in it as it causes a weight loss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so heart disease. So is heart disease the result of high blood pressure?
So heart disease is a result of high blood pressure,
Mm-hmm.
high cholesterol,
Okay.
and diabetes. So
So
all the main chronic illness we
right.
have,
Could
all
damage
these
your heart.
disease. Yes.
Could damage your heart.
Yes. Yes.
And so when it comes to high cholesterol,
Hmm.
what are some of the foods that contribute to high cholesterol? And we know like where I live, I moved from Philadelphia. My sister still lives in Philadelphia. Um, there's no walking distance to any fast food restaurants. We have good. I live outside Philly in the suburbs. We have good supermarkets. We have farmer markets, and then you can drive to a restaurant. So we don't. There's no crown chicken. That's one thing. That's the first thing I noticed when I moved up here. In Philadelphia, it was a crown chicken, fried
Hmm.
chicken place everywhere. I mean, it's all over. Also, there's no billboard boards advertising malt liquor or beer and things like that. We
Hmm.
don't see that. It's not like that. Um, for me, I think it's the people in the inner city, particularly black and brown people, are set up to have all these diseases. They go to the we call it the poppy store, the corner store.
Hmm. Hmm.
The corner
And you
store,
know, yeah.
they're buying hoagies and cheesesteaks for breakfast. They, I mean, they don't have fresh fruits and vegetables. They're buying cigarettes and alcohol at this place called the Stop and Go.
Yes.
But people normally don't stop and go; they stop and stay. They go in, they buy their beer, they stand outside, they drink it, and they go back in and get more. None of that is
Hmm.
in the suburbs, and I feel like there's not a lot of attention given to the fact that you're telling people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, you know, make a livable wage, get a job, take care of your family, and they have all this in front of them that's preventing them. So they got the fast food restaurants, the bars, all these things, and then chronic disease
And then a
on top.
dialysis center right down the street,
And
right in
that's
the
another
middle of
thing.
all
Oh
that.
my goodness! So I
There are
drive through the
multiple
city.
dialysis centers.
Yes, I drive through the city to go to work,
Hmm.
and I see the ambulance pulling in at the dialysis center like 5 o'clock in the morning or 5:30 in the morning,
Yes.
from because people have kidney failure and they have to get dialysis, and it's so sad. So let's talk a little bit about high cholesterol.
Hmm.
I'm sure the fast food, the hamburgers,
Yes.
the French fries, the fried chicken, all that contributes.
Right.
Um, what is a number that's considered high? If you go to the
So,
doctor and they take your cholesterol and they say, and tell me the difference between LDL and HDL.
okay. So with cholesterol, you have three numbers they're looking at. They're
Hmm.
looking at your LDLs, your HDLs, and your triglycerides. These are all fats that are in your body that your body actually do need, to synthesize some foods or to carry some vitamins somewhere, but you need them all, but at a certain level. So when you have LDL, they call that the black bad. That is the bad cholesterol,
Okay.
and that number should be less than 100. And the reason why it's called the bad cholesterol is because this cholesterol, and I forgot to say, they all made from your liver. So your liver
Okay.
produces cholesterol, but this one sticks to your arteries, the artery wall. So as it sticks to the artery wall, it makes that opening smaller and smaller. So it makes it harder for the blood to flow through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's one thing. Another thing is if a piece of it breaks off and travels through your blood, then it could wind up in your heart, clogging up an artery
Oh
there,
wow.
causing a heart attack, or in your brain, causing a stroke. And so that's why they say to have that number less than 100. Okay.
Okay.
The next one is the HDL. We call that the good cholesterol.
Or the healthy cholesterol. That's how I know which one is which.
Yes, yes. And the reason why it's called the healthy and the good cholesterol
Mm,
is because it removes the LDL from your blood and take it back to the liver where it could be used in other cells.
mm-hmm.
So they tell you that that number should be higher than 60. Okay. If it's lower than 40, then that's not good. Because you don't have
Okay.
enough
Oh
to.
wow.
And so if your LDLs is through the roof and your HDL is low, you
Right.
don't have that HDL taking that bad cholesterol out of the blood back to the liver. So that's the other one. So it should be greater than 60.
Wow.
So you need to know that because if yours is less than 40, you're at risk for heart disease.
Right. Right.
Okay. So the other one is triglycerides.
Mm-hmm.
Triglycerides is similar to the LDL cholesterol that it causes plaque. So
Okay.
plaque is a little thicker than that fat that cholesterol that stick to the artery.
Mm-hmm.
Plaque is thicker and harder. So the number for plaque should be, for triglycerides should be less than 150.
Okay.
So it's higher than LDLs and HDLs, but it should be no more than 150. Okay. And
Okay.
then they take all those numbers and they call it a ratio and they tell you this is your total cholesterol. So
Oh,
your
okay. So they
total,
add. Yeah.
yeah, they kind of, round them all off
Right.
together. And that's what, when they say your cholesterol is high, they're using a general term, but it's actually three numbers in one,
Oh,
right?
okay. Okay.
So the total cholesterol should be, if it's 100 to 129, you're okay.
Okay. That's total. That's the HDL, LDL,
All
and
together.
the, and
But
the, okay.
yeah. And then if you have from 130 to 159, they're going to tell you your cholesterol is borderline. So that's
Okay.
like borderline cholesterol. And they just tell you, eat less fats and, but when you start reaching 160 to 189,
Uh-huh.
high. That's high cholesterol.
Okay.
Although most doctors will say, you know, keep your cholesterol less than 200.
Right. Right.
But that's just letting them know where you're headed. So
Oh, okay.
when you're 190 or above, that's when they want to start giving you medications to lower your cholesterol.
Okay.
But it's like you said, it's important to know your numbers because sometimes it could be your high cholesterol that's the higher number, and your low
Right.
cholesterol might be good, and your triglycerides. You know,
Okay.
you have to have a very serious conversation with your physician about some of these medications because if you're eating the right foods and your high cholesterol is good and it's taking the low cholesterol back to the liver, Do you
Right.
want to take a medication that's going to lower your high cholesterol?
Exactly.
You know,
No, you don't.
and it's doing its job.
Right, right. And you really don't want to do that.
Yes.
Um, so we all know that we have a serious problem with sedentary lifestyles.
Absolutely.
It's our children, it's the adults. We're working from home. We used to walk to the bus, um, or walk to work. And so now we're working from home, we're sitting more. And I find working from home, I'm sitting more. So I make it an effort to go to the bathroom in a different floor just to move and stretch a little bit. This lifestyle is also affecting our children. I mean, I remember when we were little, running up and down the street. I
Yeah.
remember when we had no air conditioner in the
Mhm.
summertime. It was so hot, and the adults were sitting on the steps, and the kids be outside with them, running up and down the street and just, jumping rope. I never thought I would see a day where jumping rope was no longer the thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
Kids playing tag and king ball and
Yes.
kickball and all those things that kept us active.
Yes.
And we know that the inner city now is dangerous. Where I live now, I see kids living their best life. These kids are riding their bikes, they're playing baseball, they're playing tag, they're just having fun because they're in a safe environment. So another thing that could be contributing to chronic disease is the sedentary lifestyle. People not having an opportunity to be more active. The neighborhoods are becoming more dangerous, especially in the inner city and every inner city in the country.
Mhm.
Kids sitting and playing video games, so they're not as active, and then
Correct.
they're
Yep.
snacking, and this is the thing. This is what I don't understand. I had asked my daughter about this too. So I said, so if the kitchen closed at any time, it's like
When we were children, the kitchen was
no, that
closed.
kitchen was
After
closed.
dinner, you
That
didn't
kitchen was
go get
closed
a
after
snack.
dinner.
Yeah. Yeah.
So coming back to the kitchen, you're up to 1 o'clock in the morning playing video games, and you can eat the whole time you're up.
Yes.
Get a snack, come back, get some soda, come back, get some juice, come back, and play your video games all night long. As long as you up, you can eat.
Mhm.
My mom shut the kitchen down. She would not have food because she had 8 children. I
Yeah.
remember her when we used to get the milkman used to come.
Mhm.
We had the 10 quart thing of milk with the
Mhm.
spout in the front, and she would mark that thing like,
Oh Lord.
if just to make sure we wasn't taking it or drinking too much of it.
Mhm.
So it was a lot of stuff put in place that kept us healthy.
Yeah.
You know,
And Minister Beatrice, you are so right. As I was my daughter and I was going for a walk yesterday, and I said to her, we were looking at houses as we were driving, and I said to her, wouldn't it be nice to walk out the house and just be able to run in the community, or just to be able to take your walks in the community?
yes.
Unfortunately, in our community, we get in our car to drive to a community
Oh
where
my
we can
goodness.
walk or run,
Right.
you know. And that's sad, but that's the reality, of living of city life. It's just not in certain areas you can, walk out your house
Right. Right.
and walk and run. And we also had back in the day when we were young, we had community centers where
Oh
you could,
yes.
if you didn't have anything to do in your community or in your neighborhood, you went to the community center and you played soccer or you played sports. You participated
Yes.
in physical activity. You know,
Right.
and we didn't have games when we were young, so remember we used to do wrestling matches,
Oh yes. Yes.
boxing.
Yes.
We
Yes.
thought of games to play,
Right. Right.
so even in the house we were active because we
Yes.
didn't sit in front of a television. And it wasn't a television in every room.
It wasn't.
It was one TV in the
One
house.
TV. And my mom was home. We're watching cowboy movies all day. It's like whatever she wanted to watch.
Right.
And now it's TVs in every room.
Yes.
Everybody has a phone,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so everybody's sitting sitting down
Right.
more.
Yes.
People need to be
Yes.
more active because
Absolutely.
physical activity will bring all those numbers down.
Yes.
It will
It
start
will
with the weight.
strengthen your heart.
Yes,
Running, walking, it strengthens your heart. Makes your heart a good, strong muscle.
yes,
Activity lowers your blood sugar,
yes.
helps you to lose weight, and lowers your hypertension. Now, because sometimes um I want to say hypertension sometimes is not just from not eating the right foods.
Hmm.
You know, some there are some that have a lot of issues, mental issues, or problems, hurt problems that they had in their lives that they keep inside,
Oh, okay. Yes.
and it comes out in their blood pressure.
Okay.
I know that's another subject
That's
for
another
another.
subject. And I'm telling you, I mean, because that's a very, very important subject, mental health.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand that unforgiveness, grudges, all
Yes.
those affect our health as well. And
Yes.
that's why God said forgiveness is a gift to yourself.
Yes.
It,
Yes.
it means sending it forth
Mm-hmm.
and not carrying it anymore because it's definitely going to affect your health. But like you said, it's another subject. When we get to mental health, it's another subject. Is there anything else you would like to add before we go, like a final thought?
Um, final thought I would like to add is that you only get one body, you
Yes,
know, and our bodies are the temple of the Spirit of God.
yes,
And if you don't take care of this temple, it's going to break down on you.
yes,
It's the same as if you had a car. If you don't change that oil every month, then that car is not going to last. So it's very important that we start paying attention to how we're eating. You
yes,
know, pay attention to our weight gain, and we have our annual or yearly doctor's visits.
yes,
And you go to the doctor every year and you ask them, because sometimes you got to ask. A lot of
yes.
lately they're not offering your labs every year, so
Right,
you have
right.
to ask for your labs, get a printout so that you can start looking at the numbers and seeing if your numbers are starting to be elevated or if your numbers in some areas are too
Yes,
low.
yes,
So that is very important, because and if you don't know and they not explain it to you, then find someone, go online and
yes,
find out what is a normal number, you know.
yes, yes.
So
They can Google
that is
everything.
very important. If you do have chronic illness, you need your labs every 3 months. You should be
Oh,
seeing
okay.
your
Oh,
doctor.
okay. Every
Yeah,
3 months.
every 3 months you should be seeing your doctors and having your numbers checked. So that's once you have chronic illness. But prayerfully, you don't reach that stage. But
Right.
I'm seeing it too often, and I'm seeing too many young people with chronic illnesses. And
Yes.
it's pretty
It's sad.
sad.
It's sad because I think a lot of times people of a certain age will expect to have chronic illness. They think it's part of aging.
Right? They
Arthritis.
think it's part of aging. Don't have to be.
Right. It don't have to be. You can live your best life till you're 100 years old.
Yes,
I
yes,
mean, you don't have to have aching bones. That's not. It's not. People think it's normal. Oh,
yes,
I'm in this age group, so this is what start happening. My body's breaking down. It don't happen. I heard someone say that what little bit of love that you give your body, it responds.
yes,
It responds to whatever little love you give your body. You don't have to work out every day for an hour, but being physical, eating right, your
yes,
body will respond.
yes.
So, Dr. Lucas, who I call Sis, I really appreciate you joining us today, and I pray that everyone really learned a lot and they will really take it to heart, particularly getting your numbers every year. When I had my annual physical this year, they did my A1C, and she said, "Let's do your A1C. We haven't done it in 5 years." I was shocked.
Oh,
I was shocked because every year she was like, "Your blood glucose is good. Your blood." She would tell me my blood glucose is good. I thought that was my A1C. So thank you for
Mhm. No,
explaining.
it's not.
Thank
Yes.
you for explaining what your A1C is, because every year they did my blood glucose and told me it was good, and I thought it was my A1C. And so she said, "Let's do your A1C. We haven't done it in 5 years." I was upset because the number could have been climbing. I could be, needing to make some changes. And so this is the situation with a lot of people.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you have to, thank you so much for mentioning that. Make sure they take your cholesterol, they take your
Yes.
A1C, and they take your blood pressure, because
Yes.
that's very important.
Yes.
So,
Some
Dr. Luke,
people don't know they have chronic illness until it's a chronic illness. And
yes,
you wonder what happened within that time.
right,
Like
right.
how did you go from, oh, you're fine, to, oh, you have diabetes.
Oh, right, right, right.
You
Or
don't, you didn't just get diabetes overnight.
exactly.
Yeah.
Or you pre-diabetic. And when did that happen? You
Yes.
know.
Yes.
So so you're right. So Dr. Lucas, thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna be calling on you more. Maybe other subjects. It may not all, because I know medical is your thing. Um, and then you can explain. Maybe you can explain some of those letters. It's
So
so impressive.
I worked hard for them, I must
I'm
say.
sure you did. I know you did.
So DNP is doctorate in nursing practice.
Hmm.
MSN is master's science in nursing, and ED is nursing education. So that
Okay.
was the specialty of my master's degree. And then RN is registered nurse.
Okay.
CHHCM is certified home health case manager. So
And
I'm
could you,
certified in the work that I'm doing right now as a case manager in home health.
okay. And you're also an instructor.
Yes, I'm also. I didn't want to fill your screen, but I am also a CPR instructor, and I'm a
uh,
clinical instructor for the University of Penn. Yes.
that's amazing. So no, this is amazing to see people in our community with this education or this knowledge that we can share with our people.
Yes.
Um, and we need more people of color to enter the medical field, because that's one of the reasons why some people don't go to the doctor, because
Right.
they don't trust the doctors. And if they see more of us there, I think they will feel very comfortable, and they will trust them to tell them the truth. And also, doctors that look like us, they understand the fried chicken and the ribs and the macaroni and
Yes.
cheese.
Yes.
They understand what the community is like that we come from, and what's hindering us, and what's in our neighborhoods
Yes.
that's preventing us from living our best life.
Yes.
Exactly. McDonald's, Burger King, and Kentucky Fried in walking distance. You go from one to the other. It's
Right,
just it's just
right
sad.
in the same area. You don't
Yeah,
even have to
it's
walk
sad.
a whole block to get to the second restaurant.
Right. Yeah. So it's really
Or
sad.
no restaurant where you can just sit down and get a menu and just order something healthy.
Yes. Yeah. Something more healthy than the fast
Yes.
food, because all restaurant eating adds salt, a lot of salt to it.
Oh, yes, yes,
But
yes, Minister B. You right on point with that. I explain
but
it to people every day. Oh, what did you have? I had chicken cutlet. Oh, you cooked chicken cutlet? No, I ordered it. Oh, the moment they say they ordered it, I'm
yes,
just thinking salt.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
anytime you buy food outside of your home and you didn't season it yourself, it's full
Right.
of salt.
It's full of salt.
Yes, full
And
of salt.
it's hitting salt. We would know if it tastes salty.
Yes. It tastes good. It'd be like, oh, this is
It's
so
good.
good.
I don't know
Yeah,
what
it's
kind of
that
salt they
salt.
use that you can't taste. Because we put too much salt in our food, we can taste it.
Yes, yes.
But, so anyway, I don't want to keep you, but I just want to thank you again for joining me. And it's been a pleasure and an honor to have you as a guest. Talk
Thank
to
you,
you soon,
Minister
sis.
B. Thank
Talk
you
to you
for
soon.
having me.
God bless you.
You too, sis. Bye bye.
So thank you for joining me for Best Life Wellness. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this video. Next week, I'll be talking about food addiction. So join me again so we can learn how to find our best life for a healthier, happier you. God bless.